David wasn't a king. He wasn't a warrior. He wasn't even old enough to stand in the army. But one day, a shepherd boy walked onto a battlefield and changed history forever. The valley of Elah shook with fear. On one side stood the army of Israel. On the other side stood the mighty Philistines, and between them stood a monster. His name was Goliath, a giant over 9 feet tall, covered in bronze armor, a spear like a weaver's rod, a voice that thundered across the battlefield for 40 days. Morning and night, Goliath mocked Israel. "Choose a man and let him fight me. If he kills me, we will serve you. If I kill him, you will serve us." Soldiers of Israel trembled in fear. Even King Saul, the tallest man in Israel, was afraid. No one moved, no one fought, no one believed the giant could fall. Then one ordinary day, a young shepherd arrived carrying bread and cheese for his brothers. His name was David. David heard the giant shouting insults against God's people. And while everyone else saw a monster, David saw something different. He saw a man defying the living God. David asked, "Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God?" The soldiers probably looked at him like he was crazy, because David was just a boy, no armor, no sword, no military training. But David had something greater than all of that: faith. When King Saul heard about David, he called him forward. Saul looked at the shepherd boy and said, "You are not able to fight this Philistine. You are only a youth." David answered with confidence, "Your servant used to keep his father's sheep. When a lion or a bear came and carried off a sheep from the flock, I went after it. I struck it and rescued the sheep from its mouth." Then David said words that would echo through history. "The Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will rescue me from the hand of this Philistine." David didn't trust in size. He didn't trust in weapons. He trusted in God. Saul finally agreed and placed his own armor on David. The helmet was too heavy. The sword didn't fit. The armor slowed him down. David took it all off. Because victory was never going to come from human strength. David walked to a stream and picked up 5 smooth stones. Just 5 stones against a giant warrior. Can you imagine the battlefield that day? Thousands watching. Soldiers holding their breath. A giant laughing at a shepherd boy. When Goliath saw David, he mocked him. "Am I a dog that you come at me with sticks?" Then the giant cursed David and shouted, "Come here, and I'll give your flesh to the birds and the wild animals." But David did not run. He stepped forward, and with courage that could only come from God, David declared, "You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hands, and the whole world will know that there is a God in Israel." Then David said something powerful: "The battle is the Lord's." Those words still matter today, because every person faces giants: fear, depression, failure, addiction, loneliness, doubt, giants that seem too big to defeat. And just like Israel, many people stand frozen in fear, believing the battle is impossible. But David's story reminds us that God is greater than every giant. When Goliath moved closer, David ran toward the battle, not away from it. Toward it, he reached into his bag, pulled out a stone, placed it in his sling. And with one swing, the stone flew through the air. The battlefield went silent. Then suddenly, the stone struck Goliath directly in the forehead. The giant stumbled, the earth shook, and the mighty warrior crashed face down onto the ground. One stone, one moment, one miracle. The giant who terrified nations fell before a shepherd boy empowered by God. The Philistines were shocked. Israel erupted in victory, and David became a legend. But this story is bigger than a battle. It's about faith. Everyone else measured Goliath against themselves. David measured Goliath against God. That changed everything. Sometimes the reason fear controls people is because they keep looking at the size of the giant instead of the power of God. David understood something powerful. If God is with you, no giant can truly stand against you. The Bible says in Romans 8:31, "If God is for us, who can be against us?" That does not mean life will be easy. It means you are never alone in the battle. Think about this. David was overlooked by his family, ignored by soldiers, mocked by a king, laughed at by a giant. Yet God had already chosen him. People may underestimate you. They may say you're too weak, too young, too broken, too unimportant. But God often uses the people the world ignores to do impossible things. David didn't need to look powerful. He only needed faith. And maybe that's why this story still inspires millions today. Because deep down, everyone knows what it feels like to face a giant. Maybe your giant is fear about the future. Maybe it's pain nobody understands. Maybe it's the pressure to fit in. Maybe it's a battle happening silently inside your mind. But David's story reminds us giants do fall, not because humans are strong, but because God is greater. The same God who stood with David in the valley still stands with people today. The same God who guided the stone still guides those who trust him. And the same God who gave victory to a shepherd boy can bring victory into impossible situations. Before the battle, Goliath looked unbeatable. After the battle, he was just another defeated enemy before the power of God. Never forget this. The size of your giant does not determine the outcome of your battle. God does. And sometimes, all it takes is one moment of faith to change everything forever.